The Green Knight is a 2021 American epic medieval fantasy film by David Lowery, who directed, wrote, edited, and produced. The film stars Dev Patel as Gawain, a newly appointed knight from King Arthur's Round Table, who sets out on a journey to test his courage and face the Green Knight. Based on the 14th century poem Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, the film also stars Alicia Vikander, Joel Edgerton, Sarita Chowdhury, Sean Harris, and Ralph Ineson. The Green Knight was theatrically released in the United States on July 30, 2021, by I-24. It received acclaim from critics, with praise for Lowery's direction, Patel's performance, and the cinematography. Now let's see what happens in the movie. Gawain, the nephew of King Arthur, awakens on Christmas Day in a brothel with his lover, the commoner Essel. He returns to Camelot and, after being rebuked for his conduct by his mother Morgan Le Fay, attends a feast at the Round Table. The king asks Gawain to tell him a story about himself, to which an ashamed Gawain replies that he has none to tell. In an isolated tower, Gawain's mother and her associates perform a magical ritual, and the mysterious Green Knight barges into the court and challenges them all to a game. If anyone is able to land a blow on him, they will win his axe. However, they must come to the Green Chapel next Christmas and receive an equal wound in return. Gawain takes up the challenge. As the Green Knight kneels and shows his neck, Gawain, unsure and frustrated, chops off the knight's head. The knight then picks it up, reminds a shocked court of the game's rules, and rides off laughing. For the next year, Gawain's reputation grows, but he remains worried about facing the knight. When Christmas time approaches again, the king confronts Gawain and insists he upholds his end of the oath, even if it was just a game. Reluctantly, Gawain agrees and departs for the Green Chapel, taking with him the axe of the Green Knight and a green girdle made by his mother, who claims that no harm will come to him so long as he wears it. During his travels, Gawain crosses a battlefield where a scavenger points Gawain to a stream that will lead him to the Green Chapel. After Gawain takes his directions, the scavenger instead ambushes and takes Gawain's axe, girdle, and horse, leaving Gawain to die. He cuts himself free with his sword and, pursuing his assailants, comes to an abandoned cottage where he falls asleep in the bed. He is awakened by the ghost of a young woman named Winifred, who tells Gawain to retrieve her head from a nearby spring. When he returns with the skull, the girl has vanished, but he finds her skeleton in the bed. He adds the skull, and the next morning, Gawain awakens to find his axe returned to him. As Gawain's quest continues, he encounters a friendly fox that follows him and watches a horde of giants passing through a valley. Eventually, he reaches a castle inhabited by a friendly lord who informs him that the Green Chapel is one day away. Overjoyed, Gawain accepts the lord's invitation to rest and recuperate. The castle is also occupied by a blindfolded old woman and the lord's wife, who is identical to Essel and makes many advances towards Gawain. On Gawain's last day at the castle, the lord proposes a game. He will present Gawain with the greatest prize he obtains during that day's hunt, while Gawain will trade it for whatever object he receives at the castle. They also ruminate on the nature of the Green Knight, while Gawain claims he is green because he is not of this earth. The lady points out that green is the color of nature. The next morning, the lady arrives in Gawain's room with the stolen green girdle, which she claims is her own creation. Gawain, at last, gives in to her advances in exchange for it. The lady rebukes him for giving in to his desires. Panicked, Gawain leaves for the Green Chapel but runs into the lord out in the forest, who reminds him of their game. Gawain returns the lady's gift by kissing the lord but fails to give the lord the girdle. The lord says that he would have given Gawain his hunting spoils, the same fox that has been following Gawain, but senses that Gawain has withheld something and releases the fox into the woods. Gawain reaches a stream where an empty boat is waiting for him. Suddenly, the fox speaks with his mother's voice and warns that the Green Knight shall not show mercy, and tells Gawain to go home. Gawain refuses and insists on finishing his quest, but the fox rebukes him for being dishonest and Gawain drives him away. Using the boat, Gawain reaches the chapel where the Green Knight slumbers. After waiting the night, the Green Knight awakens on Christmas Day. Resolving the game, the knight twice swings the axe, but Gawain flinches both times. On the third swing, Gawain flees and rushes back to Camelot. He is received by his mother, and Essel is made a knight at last, and becomes king when his uncle dies. Essel bears his son, but Gawain abandons her and marries a noblewoman. As an adult, his son dies in battle and, after many years, Gawain becomes a reviled king. With his castle under siege and the rest of his family gone, Gawain removes the green girdle, which he has refused to take off after all these years. As he does, his head falls off. This entire future is revealed to be a vision. Gawain is still knelt on the ground, waiting to receive the third swing of the Green Knight's axe. After the vision, Gawain suddenly stops the knight. He removes the girdle and prepares for death. The knight reveals that the game was a test and praises Gawain for passing it. He caresses Gawain's face, drags his finger across Gawain's throat, and says playfully, "Now, off with your head." A post-credits scene shows a young girl finding the king's crown and putting it on her head.